Hello, YouTube. Something that's been on my mind for quite a while. I had to find a spot that was neutral. Um, there wouldn't be a lot of detail in the background. So, this is an audio about a particular incident that happened when I was in Alabama. A very unpleasant experience that we had with law enforcement in that particular area. And I'm talking about the right-hand corner, top right-hand corner of Alabama, DeKalb County, over in Henniger. It's a decent area to be in. It's pretty out there. I love crossing over the Tennessee River almost daily. But on this particular day, I'll give you the lineup here. On this particular day, my wife had went to the grocery store. And it was me and our young daughter were at our place that we were staying at. And she was probably riding her bicycle or playing on her trampoline or something like that. And it was a nice day, and I want to say it was probably mid to late evening. And as I'm outside, I get a phone call from my wife that was on her way home from the store. And at this time, my wife is 8 months pregnant. So I make sure to answer that phone anytime that she calls. When I pick up the phone and answer it, she is very, very upset. And she's crying. And she's telling me that some strange man posing as a police officer pulled her over for no reason at all. And I'm trying to get her to calm down. I'm asking if she's hurt, what's going on, and why are the cops there? She said, I'm not sure he's even a cop. This guy was in a black unmarked pickup truck with tinted windows, gets out, approaches her, says that he's a cop, provides no credentials, no badge, no nothing, other than a gun on his side. Wearing a ball cap, he's got a beard, he's wearing sunglasses, he's in a button-down plaid shirt and a pair of blue jeans, wearing tennis shoes. So I can hear him talking in the background, telling her that she needs to get off the phone. She said no, that she's on the phone with her husband, which was only about 100 yards down from the driveway where we were staying at. She asked me if we can come down there. So I get my daughter, we put on our helmets, and we jump on my motorcycle, and I ride down there. As soon as I come out of the driveway, I see where they're at. We could have walked. I get down there, I immediately park the bike. He asked me if I was a police officer. I said no, but if I had to be, then whatever, because I'm just trying to find out what's going on, because my wife's 8 months pregnant. She seems to be very upset and doesn't know that this guy's a cop, because there was no proof of that. I tell her to get off the phone, call 911. So as she's doing that, she's getting on the phone with 911 dispatch to verify if this guy's a cop. We go down there, I park the bike in front of our vehicle, I put my daughter in the passenger seat of our vehicle, and I go over there to the driver's side, and by this time, this guy's telling me that I need to leave. I said, no, sir, this is my wife and this is my family. This is my complete world, so I'm not leaving. God Almighty could not make me leave, and I did not. He said, fine. So he retreats back to his vehicle. He gets on his little walkie-talkie radio and decides to call in for backup. We're trying to figure out what's going on. I'm speaking to her. I said, give me the insurance card, give me the registration. And as he comes up, he's telling me that the reason he pulled her over was because he ran the tag, and it's coming back to 2 separate different vehicles, completely different models. I think we were in a Chevrolet, and he was saying it was coming back to a Dodge, and then another one to a Honda. Really wasn't sure what that was about. Yes, we had out-of-state tags, but they were current and up to date on our registration. This guy proceeded to be ignorant and was telling me that I needed to leave. Other co-workers of his decided to show up because they heard the radio traffic going on, and they were also in plain clothes. He refused to show any credentials. He was trying to tell me that he had a badge. He finally showed one on his hip, and it didn't match what I thought would be standard badge. I'm not a law enforcement officer. I don't go around looking at badges. I don't really even give a shit. But to find out if this guy was legit or not, yeah, we got on the phone with 911 and was trying to confirm that this was not just one of those roadside robberies where people could pretend to be whatever they want to be. I'm trying to calm my wife down. My daughter's starting to become upset, and when his buddies show up, his co-workers, he bows up. And this little guy, Dustin, he's like 5'2", 5'3". I mean, I've seen shit stacked higher than him, but he really, I don't know what his deal. Maybe he just had an ego trip. I try to respect law enforcement officers. I know they got a tough job. They're up against a lot, but maybe he was just trying to make a name for himself. I looked him up. He says he's in a neighboring state. I'll just give it that. It gets a little deeper. And so I'm there with the registration and the insurance, and he wasn't even interested in looking at that. Another officer looked at it and said that everything looked legit. After about 5 minutes of this going on, we had a total of 5 officers there, 4 of them of which are in plain clothes. Come to find out, they were narcotics team. Why they were pulling my wife over at 8 months pregnant and continued to get her upset is beyond me, but they pulled her over, didn't ask if they could search the vehicle, didn't bring a dog out, canine dog out to search for drugs. None of that was done. Of course, I would have been willing for them to do whatever, you know. We don't do drugs. That would never been a problem. So I'm agitated, and you know, he was telling me I need to leave, and I was like, if your wife called you, or if your sister or your daughter or somebody in your family called you and told you that they were getting pulled over and there was a man standing outside their vehicle with a firearm, you're going to tell me you wouldn't take part in that? You wouldn't show up? Maybe I'm just wired different. Maybe I'm just old school. You mess with me and mine, I'm showing up. So after a few minutes of this going back and forth, and one officer was the 5th one that showed up. He was a chief of police in the neighboring town, not about 5 minutes down the road. And he said, yeah, I've seen her. I've seen this vehicle at the place where she was working at. I've seen her around. Never been a problem. They decided they're going to put me in handcuffs. They said I was too big to put them in the back, so they doubled them up, linked them together, and then just put them in front of me. Didn't put them in behind me. Put them in front of me. And I let them. I mean, I didn't want to pose as a threat, but I wanted to find out what the hell was going on because, like I said, this is my family. Little Dustin, Mr. Jones decided that he was just going to take everybody to jail because I showed up. Take them to jail, impound the bike, impound the vehicle. I said, we don't have any family up here. We don't know anybody. I said, so if you want to take me to jail, that's fine. We can do that. Let's ride this out all the way. And he's like, no, we're going to take your wife to jail. And I know she's 8 months pregnant. And I was like, you know, maybe she's just high strung and her emotions are up and down, you know, just that whole pregnancy thing. But with her being that far along, I was really concerned about her and the baby. And when they decided that Mr. Jones was going to start popping off in the mouth about he's going to lock us up, take me to jail, take the wife to jail, and then the bad part about it, he said, we're going to take your daughter and put her in child, like child care, child protective custody. All this because he was saying that our registration wasn't coming back to our vehicle, which I called bullshit. I was like, here's the paperwork, here's the tag. Everything matches up to the number, to the letter. I mean, the people at the DMV, I'm sure that they know what's going on. I mean, they got a job doing that. They do it probably thousands of times a day. So, bottom line is, I ain't gonna drag this out. We're going on, a little past 11 minutes. Another officer walked me over to the vehicle and said, hey, listen to, when we call it in, listen to how it goes. He calls it in. The funny part is when this other officer called it in, it came back registered in my name, came back a description to our vehicle, everything matched up. And it even said it had valid insurance. Everything was good. The officer looked at me. He said, I am sorry. He was the only one that apologized, and it wasn't even his deal. The neighboring chief from the town next door, I said, can you believe this? He said, I don't agree with it, but it's not my investigation. It's not my stop. I said, then what are you doing here? He said, I heard the traffic on the radio, and I stopped to assist because I was familiar with the vehicle. I've seen it, but other than that, that was it. He didn't really have any say-so, and he was kind of out of his district, but he was backing up his comrade in law enforcement. I get it. So after these comments are made, I'm feeling like, you know, my exact words is, what are we doing here? Why am I in handcuffs? What the hell's going on with little Dustin? And why he can't seem to read a fucking tag? When all's said and done with, the neighboring chief goes over and gets a couple of stuffed animals out of the rear of his SUV and walks over and asks me if he can give them to my daughter to help calm her down, because she was extremely upset because she's being told that somebody's coming picking her up and our vehicles are getting towed off and her mom and dad are going to go to jail because Dustin got us little wee feelings hurt. And I'm trying to put that as nicely as I can possibly make it. So, we sat there and I gotta wait for this rig to go by. So we immediately took the handcuffs off, and they want to focus. They wanted to change everything up. They look at the registration and everything matches up just like I said it did. If only somebody took 15 seconds to really look at it. And you figure being a cop, they probably would have done this 100 times. But Dustin claimed that he was in narcotics, and he was a narcotics officer, and he was undercover. And, you know, I think protocol would have been you call a uniform officer over and let them conduct the traffic stop. But if you're really a narcotics officer, which you probably are, and that's why I'm not posting your picture, Dustin, if you're getting any part of this, you know, never once was anybody willing to look for any drugs. Now, you might have found some McDonald's French fries or part of a damn half-eaten McNugget or something. But that's about it. You know, when you got kids, you got crumbs and whatever else. But nobody even wanted to do that. They didn't even look in the driver's side door, none of that shit. All they did was just cause a lot of chaos for no fucking apparent good reason. So, this happened 10 months ago, right there towards the end of September. 2 days later, we moved. found a job somewhere else, and we left. And we were leaving anyways, but wasn't expecting a little parting gift from the good state of Alabama. And I'm not saying, I mean, Alabama's a pretty state. There's some good spots and bad spots, just like anywhere else. But we kind of liked living there, and it was nice. But glad to leave. Glad to get the fuck on out of that area. So knowing that I felt like there was some rights that were violated, there was something that wasn't right. You know, they took the handcuffs off. They gave the stuffed animals to my little girl. They were trying to be cool. Dustin walked away. Little Dustin Jones walked his happy ass away for a while the other officers were there. And let me remind you, when they did put the handcuffs on me, I got a little clip pocket knife that goes in my pocket, but the clip's on the outside. And he took it out. Dustin took it out of my pocket and would walk around in front of me, open and closing, open and closing, open and closing. And it opens real easy. I don't know what the point that was, open and closing my knife. Like, you know, I get it that, you know, you want to put me detained, so to speak, and you don't want no chance of you getting your little feelings hurt or there to be some kind of altercation or whatever, so you got to secure the premises. So you take my knife, and why you decided to walk around opening and closing my own knife in front of me is beyond me. But that's what happened. And then when it was all done, they took the handcuffs off, handed me my knife, and then Dustin came up and shook my hand and told me that, he said, basically, I dropped the ball. I said, excuse me? He said, yeah, I dropped the ball. Meaning he fucked up. And yeah, he admitted to it, but it took a total of him and 4 other officers to be there. And when that traffic came back and everything checked out on my registration and insurance, it came across all the radios. So they made good witnesses to what was going on. I think that if Dustin hadn't called him in, that he probably would have made things go from bad to worse. So we were free to go. And then they wanted to talk about my motorcycle, which was parked in front of my vehicle. Oh, is that a custom motorcycle? I've never seen one like that. Sure is cool. Like they were trying to change the focus off of their fuck up, or his fuck up. Not everybody else's, but particularly just Dustin Jones's fuck up, to about my motorcycle. I said, you know, dude, if you just talk to me man to man, you know, I was worried that you were going to get my wife upset. You know, like I said, her emotions are up high because she is 8 months pregnant. And, you know, she doesn't know that you're a cop because everybody's, you know, you can get anything off the internet nowadays. She don't know you're a cop, so she calls 911 to get it verified. And everybody wants to know what's going on because they're hearing all this traffic come across the radio. And, brother, you rubbed me the wrong way. And it's probably best that you did call those people in. It's probably, that's, without getting too technical about things, it's probably best that you did call them to that location, because that could have turned out into a different situation. And you know, I love my family to no end. No end. But that's what happened. The aftermath of this is, after we left and I tried to contact the proper authorities, I called the sheriff's department. They told me who I needed to get in touch with, which was his CO, and I tried to do that, and then that went nowhere. That absolutely went nowhere. I was hitting a dead end, so I'd go back and talk to the sheriff's department, and basically how it was explained to me, and I ain't gonna say it was from their sheriff's department, but it was explained to me that if there's no report taken, then there's no complaint to look into. And I thought, well, ain't that some shit? You know, if I was out here at my job doing something and something wasn't right, or if I had acted in a manner of which little Dustin Jones was doing, I would have got written up and probably even fired. Maybe even charged. but not with them apparently. I looked you up, Dustin, and it shows, like you said, you're in a neighboring state, and I won't give that personal information out. I seen your little picture that you had where you're dressed up like a half-assed clown. It fits you, brother. And I say that lightly, brother. It fits you. Clown all the way. I get it that police officers get out there and serve and protect. You take an oath, you have to honor it. Don't think that that's a badge to bully people, especially women and children, Dustin. Especially women and children. My daughter was 5 years old at the time. That burned in her memory about you and how you acted and what you did and how you handled the situation. I wouldn't want to be your coworker, because you're going to put your coworkers at extreme risk. Because if you go out in the public and act like this, you're going to get hurt, or somebody else is going to get hurt. Not everybody's the bad guy. Some people, believe it or not, get up and go to work, come home, be responsible, pay their bills. Not everybody's got the best affordable vehicle out there. People do what they can do just to get by. But we're in America, where you should be able to travel without having to be held up for just a made-up reason. To be a narcotics officer, you weren't about no drugs. You asked her where she was coming from and where she was going to. She doesn't have to answer you. She doesn't have to answer to you. She's at free will to go where the fuck she wants. She's a grown-ass woman. And because your little feelings got hurt, that's on you. You shouldn't have let it interfere with your professionalism of being a police officer. And you're right, you did drop the ball. I just hope you don't make a habit of it. We're going on better than 20 minutes of this thing, and it makes me heated. This happened 10 months ago. I've tried repeatedly try to get it into the right hands to see if somebody would even take the complaint, but like I was told, if nobody takes the report, then there is no complaint. What a coincidence. I've been in many states, and I've never experienced this before. Never. Not all cops pull you over and go catfishing to look for a reason to try to fuck with you or try to lock you up. Some of them just do their job. If you didn't use the damn turn signal, they write you a ticket. If you didn't stop at a stop sign like you're supposed to, they write you a ticket. So on and so forth. Not everybody's the bad guy, man. Not everybody is the bad guy. Stop having that mentality thinking that it's you against the world or the police against the world. It wasn't too long ago, and I won't get into details, but I had a helping officer in plain clothes. Or not in plain clothes, he was in a uniform. And there was a guy that was on drugs with a child in the car, and he was going to go. He was going to try to get away. I asked the officer, "Do you need help?" 3 times. On the third time, he said yes. And I jumped in. Never thought in the world I'd ever help a cop arrest somebody. I mean, this guy, he was out of his mind, and he had a child with him, and I felt like in my heart that if I didn't try to help, if something was to happen to that kid, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't have to live with that, you know. Everybody's got a job to do and try to do it to the best of ability. Sometimes we just need help. And I'm not coming down hard on you, Dustin, if you're getting any of this, or your co-workers or whatever. This is not me bitching about things. This is just a fact. It's a statement. And if I can't get it out the proper way, then I want to make it publicly known. I hope you don't do this to nobody else. I hope you don't do this to somebody else's wife. I hope you don't do this to somebody else's kid that's driving down the road. But my daughter, she used to think that police officers were meant help. They were there to help. That's what she used to think, Dustin. So for you burned that into her memory. After we got done, we got back to our place. She said if you tried getting her mama out of the car, she said she was going to kick you in the damn tenders. My 5-year-old said that. You know why she knows how to call it like that? I told her that's what you do to bullies. If somebody's picking on you, won't leave you alone, and they continuously bother you, hit them where it counts. They'll remember that shit. And that day, Dustin Jones, you were nothing more than a damn bully. Y'all have a great day. Like it, don't like it, whatever. Like I said, this is America, free of speech. I said my 2 cents.